Is anybody else hot in here, or is it just me? Might want to take my coat off. I may have to take the coat off. It's just sticky. You're doing the pledge. Do you remember the words? I know. I was so excited. All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 9th St. Charles County Council meeting. We will start tonight with an invocation from Pastor Justin Arender from Faith Baptist Church. You can come on up, sir. We're also going to have the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Dave Hammond. Would you please stand and remove your hats?
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just come to this place, Lord, to do business. And Lord, I just pray that you bless the council members, Lord, and Lord, let everything be done right and accordingly, Lord. I ask your blessings upon the members, Lord, the ones that are here in audience. Lord, that everything is done to your glory and your satisfaction. Lord, best bless the ones that are outside, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Joe Cronin.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Breisel.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Hammond.
Here.
Councilmember Mike Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Terry Hollander.
Here.
Councilmember Nancy Schneider. Here. Councilmember John White.
With that, I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, please, to move the resolution 21-05 up to the agenda, please.
So a motion made to amend the agenda.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are amending the agenda, and we will move up Resolution 2105.
Resolution 2105, sponsored by Council as a whole, a resolution recognizing and congratulating Ms. Brooklyn Schutz of Wentzville for her achievement of first place in the women's category of the Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championships qualifier at St. Charles County's Kinetic Park on July 31st, 2021. Whereas the St. Charles County Council is pleased to recognize and honor citizens for outstanding achievements, and whereas the St. Charles County Council is proud of Ms. Brooklyn Schutz of Wentzville for her first place finish in the women's category of the Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championships qualifier, which was held in St. Charles County's Kinetic Park on July 31st, 2021. And whereas with this achievement, Brooklyn has qualified for the Red Bull World Final in Lisbon, Portugal, to be held October 15th through the 17th, 2021. And whereas Brooklyn will undoubtedly do her friends, family, and St. Charles County proud when she travels to compete in the Red Bull World Finals. And whereas the St. Charles County Council applauds Brooklyn for her victory and wishes her the best of luck in the upcoming competition. Now therefore be it resolved by the County Council of St. Charles County, Missouri as follows. Section 1, the St. Charles County Council hereby honors and congratulates Ms. Brooklyn Schutz on her outstanding feat of placing first in the women's category of the Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championships qualifier, which was held in St. Charles County's Kinetic Park on July 31st, 2021.
So wanted to give you a little bit of footage of Brooklyn. So if you'll check out the monitors, you will see her in action.
Number 2 seed, that is going to be Brooklyn Schutz. Brooklyn, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go! The battle between Brooklyn and Megan heating up. The skillet is getting hot as there is a lot on the line here. That is going to be Brooklyn trying to make it happen. Got the whole time people hollering for us. It is going to be Brooklyn Schutz trying to get it done. We have a champion, Brooklyn Schutz.
It wasn't balanced. Baby.
A big round of applause for all of these ladies out here. Shout out to BMX.
That was awesome. Congratulations. So, real quick, if you want to just tell us a little bit about what happens next. I know you're going to Portugal. How is that? When is that trip? And what did you get for winning?
So I won a free trip to Portugal to October 13th to October 18th. And pretty much now I'm training till then.
So all expenses paid.
Yep.
For doing this. This was our first event, so hats off to the Parks Department for getting this thing together. Congratulations to you for a well-done race.
Thank you.
Mr. Cronin.
I happened to be at your first heat, and you got to see it.
Thank you.
And I think you won by 100th of a second.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. But I tell you what I saw, I had brought my 6-year-old grandson there, and his jaw was down. He never saw anybody move a bike that fast. And I looked at the other kids there, so you're a role model for a whole lot of kids in this county.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate you doing that.
Thank you
Okay?
so much.
Okay, great. Good luck in Portugal. We'll be rooting for you.
Thank you.
That'd be great. So
Did your
the step
parents
up
get to
here-
go too?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your parents go with you?
Yeah, both
They're
my
here
parents
today,
are going.
right? You want to introduce them?
That's Kim Shoots and Mark Shoots. Both really supportive parents.
So you have two siblings, right? But we're leaving them at home.
Yeah, due to COVID.
Yeah, they're saying due to COVID, but I think it's safe. If they want their own trip, they have to earn it on the trip. If you want to step up here, we'd love to get a picture with you. You guys want to gather around behind here real quick? Let Mom get a picture. Fantastic. Congratulations, we're pulling for you. You've already made us proud, so you'll do a great job while you're there. So with that, I'd ask you to call the roll.
Resolution number 21-05, a resolution recognizing and congratulating Ms. Brooklyn Schutz of Wentzville for her achievement of first place in the women's category of the Red Bull UCI Pump Track World Championships qualifier at St. Charles County's Kinetic Park on July 31st, 2021. Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander? Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
It is official. So Brooklyn, thank you very much. We wanted to move that up. Her mom had surgery on her hand today, so I said, we will get you out of here so you don't have to listen to a county council meeting when you're medicated from surgery. Although some people may argue that makes county council meetings more interesting. So congratulations, y'all. We'll be watching.
Good luck to you. Yep, good to.
Thanks to Mr. Brazel for bringing that up and pointing it out to our attention. That was well worth it. It's good to give the data voice to the folks who earn it. We have a lot of that going on in our county lately, so a lot of great championships. So with that, we'll move back to conditional use permits, starting with conditional use permit number 4985.
Bill number 4985, requested by Michael Hurlbert, sponsored by Joe Cronin, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 21-08 for an outdoor storage yard for automobiles, boats, trucks, trailers, and recreational vehicles to Howard Chilcott Trust property owners and KJ Storage LLC applicant.
So with Robert, you'll be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
It's all yours, sir.
Thank you. Briefly, there are two related items on your agenda. One is a rezoning from neighborhood commercial to general business district for this subject property, plus a conditional use permit, which is what we're considering now, for one conditional use permit, which would be an outdoor storage yard for boats, trucks, and RVs. The subject property is at the southeast corner of North Point Prairie Road and Highway 61. As you know, that's an at-grade crossing, and but there is a fair amount of traffic at that particular location. The MoDOT and St. Charles County have been working cooperatively to upgrade the Highway 61 facility in order to improve safety. And in so doing, there are plans to create a new intersection at Highway W and to remove this at-grade crossing, North Point Prairie Road. So North Point Prairie Road, under our future plans, would be, the route, traffic would be diverted to a service road on the south side of Highway 61 in front of this property. And because of that, the future plans would include the need to acquire about half of this property for future right-of-way for the widening of Highway 61 and then plus the service road. When this fact became known to the applicant, to the applicant's credit, the application was amended. Originally included 2 conditional use permits. It included mini warehouses, but that conditional use permit was withdrawn in favor of simply outdoor storage of vehicles, with the thought that it would be much easier someday to convert half the property to this Highway 61 facility when necessary. The Planning and Zoning Commission at their July meeting reviewed the application and recommended denial for this conditional use permit, and county staff likewise recommends denial for the reasons that are provided in your written staff report.
Mr. Cronin.
This is in my district. I drove out and looked at it too, but just to further add, when I read the packet, City of Wentzville sent an objective letter, a letter objecting to the development as well because of the traffic situations and also that's our future growth area. And then we received numerous letters from people in the neighborhood in opposition too. Is that correct?
We received 4 letters of opposition and 2 letters of support.
And then since the City of Wentzville, did they not, in the packet, there was a letter from them as well? Was
Right.
concern.
Correct. City of Wentzville sent a letter. They indicated that the rezoning was not in conformance with the city's master plan nor the county's, and therefore, because it's not the right place for commercial zoning, they recommended it wasn't the right place for the commercial land use.
Okay, thank you, Robert.
Any other questions for Robert? Is the applicant here?
Yes, Joseph Pringer is here this evening.
Joseph, you want to come forward? Sure. And they will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. Good evening, council.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good.
My name is Joseph Pringer, and I'm the applicant for the conditional use permit. And the reason I went after this property is because it was zoned commercially, C1 commercial, and I thought I had a pretty good chance of making use of that property. And so what I'm proposing with the outdoor storage is a use that actually would create less traffic than what is zoned for right now. With C1 commercial, you could do things such as daycare and things of that nature that would promote more traffic than what studies have shown that this outdoor storage would allow. Like, I think they're saying somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 cars a day on average per 100 spots. I'm proposing 104 units or spaces. And, if I did a daycare or something like that, which is allowed right now, it would probably promote more traffic than what I'm proposing. Just a thought. And then on the 2030 master plan that I've seen, and I have a little disagreement on that as far as what the outlook is. Because I've seen the outlook, I saw in the planning and zoning is they have all that area zoned residential, but some of that area that's there for the 2030 plan is zoned residential is the Ameren substation. And I work for Ameren, and it hits Point Prairie and it buffers all the way around to what's going to be the service road or what is now 61. And there's also a transmission line that runs through there with a 150-foot wide easement. None of that will ever be built on, and it naturally creates a great buffer for this little 20 acres that could be commercial that is going to sit right next to commercial property. And I'm already commercial. And it has a natural buffer from anything that could be residential, which is currently residential right now. I think the 2030 plan should be at least looked at. I I mean, because I just don't think it's accurate. It can't be accurate. It has Ameren substation, it has yellow as residential, and that's never going to be residential. It just never will be. So I don't think the 2030 outlook is accurate. And I think this little pocket of land that it will be, buffered away from all of residential is a perfect place for another 20 acres of commercial. It'll have a service road in front of it, and so that's my thought on it.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
And one more, I did
Yes,
talk,
sir.
I only got 2 letters of support. I did spend the time, because I talked with Mr. Cronin months and months ago, you might have remembered, I think it was all the way back in March. But he said, talk to the neighbors. So I did my due diligence. I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't talk to my neighbors. I talked to the guy directly across the street, the guy owns 30 acres next to me, and even 2 across the highway. I couldn't get him to write a letter, but that's okay. But I did talk to my neighbors, and I let them know what I was doing. And my 4 closest neighbors were all right with it. At least that's what they told me, so.
Okay. Well, with no questions, thank you. If we have some more questions later, we'll call you back.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right. So with that, we will open it up for public comment. Any individual supporting or opposing this application is invited to share their comments with the council. Council staff will call you forward one at a time. Each speaker that has submitted a speaker's card. Upon the conclusion of individual comments, please remain at the podium for any follow-up questions from the council staff or the applicant may have of you. We encourage you to keep your comments to 3 minutes, and should another speaker have shared the same information that you have already shared, feel free to say ditto, and the record will reflect that you share the same opinion already stated. So our first speaker is?
Arnie Dienoff.
Do you solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, and I oppose this project and application at the Planning and Zoning Commission. It first cropped up in, I believe, April, May, and it was tabled in June, and then it was heard for the full hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, which they overwhelmingly denied the application and recommendation to the county council at the third Wednesday in July. I'm opposed to this conditional use application and the rezoning. For the following conditions, the 2020 comprehensive and land use plan that just was adopted by the county last year does not depict this as a storage area. It's the front door of our county from the north, Lincoln County, and also the city of Wentzville. There are major, as you all know, people lose their lives monthly, or they're maimed pretty severely in roadway accidents, which the Missouri Highway Patrol, our county police, and the city of Wentzville police are working on trying to crack down speeding and the unsafe roadway issues. I would ask, I've been to the Board of Aldermen in the city of Wentzville. I asked them to file a remonstrance with our county register, which would impose a supermajority vote of the county council. I'm not sure if it made it to the county registrar's office or the county councilor's office, but I did testify at their board meeting asking for that. Our $1 million planning and zoning staff, professional planning division staff, clearly have given you a resounding recommendation of no on this application and conditional use permit. And our county planning and zoning commission meeting, as I said, in July, resoundingly defeated this issue in a recommendation to the county council. The public has opposed this, as this is prime real estate and not the place. It's the wrong place for storage. I concede that the applicant has pulled out the actual physical storage of buildings, but we still have the outdoor storage of boats and recreation vehicles, which is a very unsafe roadway at that intersection. And the Highway Patrol statistics will corroborate that there's major accidents in that corridor. If you choose to approve this and override both your planning staff, your county executive office staff, and the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation of denial, I would ask that you add the following conditions: that no derelict or unlicensed vehicles be allowed to remain on the property, that no outdoor repairs of the vehicle, trucks, or boats or RVs take place, That no storage of parts, hazardous waste, chemicals, or fireworks. That nobody lives on the site. As we all know, sometimes these storage areas or recreation vehicles, people tend to live there permanently, and we want to avoid that. That no body or auto painting takes place. That no sales of autos, trucks, trailers, RVs, boats, or other sales take place. No rental of trailers, RVs, or other. No living within the motorhome or RV or tents, which I've seen across our county and other locations. If you would approve this, I would ask that you instill a type 3 landscape berm with fence and the appropriate trees to meet our tree code ordinance. And finally, landscaping to provide screening and to screen this type facility. But again, I ask that this county council deny it. The city of Wentzville is opposed to it. Our planning and zoning staff is opposed to it. Our planning and zoning commission recommended denial, and I would ask that this council deny this application. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone have any questions of the speaker? Seeing none, you may be seated. Any other speakers?
No other speakers.
With that, I would open it up to council for discussion on this matter. Seeing none, that'll conclude the public comment portion of this conditional use permit. So we will vote on this in 2 weeks, actually it'd be 3 weeks, won't it? Because we're not back until the 30th. So we have an extra council meeting in there. So we will not be back on this one until August 30th when it'll be up for final vote. With that, we'll move on to our next bill, Bill number 4986.
Bill number 4986, requested by Michael Hurlbert, sponsored by Joe Cronin, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 21-11 for a ready-mix concrete operation and batch plant to Birdie Incorporated property owners and Josephville Road LLC applicant.
So Robert, you've already been sworn in, so
Yes.
we'll move on straight with this one.
Certainly. Tonight you have 2 conditional use permits on the agenda, next door to each other, both on Josephville Road. So the first one is a ready-mix concrete operation and batch plant that will be located on Josephville Road. For those of you who may not be aware, Josephville Road is just east of the GM plant, and this property's back up to Highway A. But they can't access Highway A because there's a major gas pipeline along the back of this property. So they would front on Josephville Road. The property is already zoned I-1 Light Industrial District, but in this district, the ready-mix concrete operation and batch plant is a conditional use permit. And so the request mainly involves the mixing of aggregate and other materials and loading it into the trucks, to taking it off-site to be used elsewhere. And there's an office that would be constructed up front as well. The conditions include a proposed condition to address not tracking aggregate out on Josephville Road. In other words, there'll be a wash-down location or station, if you want to call it that, on site. That would be reviewed at the time of the site plan. This property and the one next door, they're not proposing to connect to public water or sewer. So because of that, they're going to need to take water from either a commercial well, or potentially they could truck the water in because it's only going to use a certain amount of water. But somewhere on the site, they're going to need to have an area for an on-site sewage disposal system. And that'll, again, will be addressed at the site plan stage.
Okay. Any questions for Robert on this? Mr. Cronin?
I don't know who did these, and that's the applicant. I've got some questions on these.
Okay.
Questions here tonight or not?
We do, yeah.
Basically, I think there's a mistake on the one that's marked Wilkie Properties, okay? If you look, do you have a copy of this as well? If you look at page 4 of it, okay, I think you've got the whole property shifted to the east a little bit.
We should probably have her sworn in.
It may be those shots we took off of the county GIS website.
Okay.
Is that the aerial location one you're
Yeah,
looking
the
at?
aerial location one
Okay.
shows it, the biggest chunk of it on the east side of Josephville Road. I don't think that's the case, if I'm not mistaken. On the next page, actually 2 more, skip 2 or 3 pages, you'll see there's a little bitty piece on the east side of Josephville Road. Is that correct?
No,
Everything's on the west side of Josephville Road, correct? Then just for whatever it's worth, this thing that says Wilkie's Property is incorrect on page 4 and also on page 8. And I knew that because I went out and looked at the property and actually talked to Mr. Losey, because I know his better-looking father from about 40 years ago, okay? But anyway, just so you know, this area is an industrial area. There's a gas company there. There's a salvage place there. GM's within eyesight. It's actually probably the very best location you could put a concrete plant and a heavy equipment storage place in my district. And where the houses are getting built out at Wentzville, they're going to need more cement out that way. So anyway, but I just wanted to correct that in case there was any controversy at the next meeting. Okay? Thank you.
Any other questions for Robert? Then I would ask you to introduce the applicant, please,
Sure, I'd
and
like
come
to
forward.
Introduce Beth Lum, applicant's attorney. And Beth, the presentation is already up and ready to go for the PowerPoint. What's that? Okay. And if you need to
So with
offer
that, we'll just swear you in real quick to
Sure.
get started. Can we do two at once, or they need to go one at a
I
time?
think we can do both of them at the
There you
same
go.
time. Do you both solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Very well. Introduce yourself and
Sure. My
Off
name
you
is
go.
Elizabeth H. Lum, and we are counsel for applicant Josephville Road LLC. Do you need my address?
no, ma'am. we're
Okay. All right, and I'll see, like I said, if I can get through some of this. This conditional use application goes with the next item on your agenda, which is a conditional use application. I think it's 4987 for outdoor storage.
Yes.
The, and let me make sure I got the right little, there we go. As a bit of an overview, this project is kind of an overall project between the two applicants, with them acquiring the larger parcel of Josephville Road and then having it subdivided and then re-subdividing it again into two smaller lots. And then to have conditional use permits on both of the lots, one for a ready-mix operation and one for outdoor storage for vehicles. The property, as I think has already been expressed, it's about 16.917 acres, right between Josephville Road and Highway A. It is currently zoned I-1, which is light industrial. The operation of a ready-mix plant is listed in your ordinances as a conditional use in that zoning location. All right, the property at Josephville Road has been, I believe it was approved at the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, divided into two lots, with Lot 1 remaining as it is, and with Lot 2 being further subdivided into Lots 2A and 2B for these two proposed uses. Lot 2A will be used by Josephville Road LLC for a ready-mix operation. Lot 2B will be used by Wilkie Properties for outdoor storage. So moving on to the application at hand. The property you can see is right on Josephville Road. Directly to the north, above the red line of that property, is Josephville Road LLC's current ready-mix operation. So what they're actually doing is taking their existing business and moving it, what, quarter mile down the road maybe? Not even. So this is something that is already in the neighborhood, but they're moving it to a different location, again, just right down the street. I will note that on the GIS website where we took our shots from, the overall parcel has already been divided once about a year ago, with the northernmost piece between our client's proposed location and the existing ready-mix plant being sold, I think, to TMM Enterprises or something like that, and a conditional use permit for outdoor storage was granted for that little piece about a year ago. It's just a closer look at the location. Again, you can kind of see where it is with the GM plant directly behind it. The surrounding businesses include trailer and distribution centers, recycling center, camping world, power and services. So these are all storage, industrial, commercial type uses. Currently, the property is zoned as LI, or light industrial. And it is near Wentzville. You can see some of the surrounding properties in Wentzville too are also for this kind of use. The requested conditional use permit will be for the operation of the ready-mix plant. As we said before, it is currently operating on Josephville Road, just down the street a little bit. So again, this is not anything new for the area. This is just moving an existing business. The proposed site plan, you can see there's going to be some significant landscaping and buffering from the road. Our client has agreed to keep a nice tree cover so that aesthetically you can, there'll be trees from the road, and then also for some of the surrounding properties.
So they got it jacked up. They show some on the other side. She's saying.
All right, staff did recommend approval of this conditional use permit on the following conditions, which you can see here, none of which are objectionable to our client. It has been brought up that there is a concern with some of the materials used for the ready-mix being brought out onto Josephville Road. Currently, and I think Mr. Lozzi can probably speak to this a little bit better, but they engage in kind of a three-step wash-off system where the trucks go to a washing station, they get cleaned up, and then after that, periodically they go out and clean up the road with a sweeper and a skid loader. And from my understanding, there have not been any complaints from the entrance and exits at that location. The proposed concept plan, again, you can see the office building is up at front with a small parking area, some trees. A storage building will be out back. I believe the ground will be concrete, is that right? Paved? Yeah, so he'll be paving the larger area. The proposed office building will be of a prefab metal, looking for kind of a barn or a rustic feel. So this is an example of what you might see. And with that, if you have any questions for us or for our client.
Any questions for the applicant? As far as the pulling the material onto the road, you are pulling material onto the road right now, aren't you? At your current location that's like a quarter of a mile up the street? So you'd be doing the same thing, just doing it a quarter of a mile down the street? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So it's not like you're doing anything new. You'd
No.
just be doing it literally a quarter of a mile or less down the street?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Cronin?
Alice Rutcher's down in that street, right?
Alice is on the street. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
the lady that's, farm family's been out there for a lot of years. She's right on that same street.
Okay.
And I drove down there, and I know Alice good enough. If there was a problem, she'd have hollered, and she
Oh,
ain't
yeah.
hollered. So you take good care of Alice.
I
Just
will.
keep taking
I
care of
stop,
Alice.
bring her peaches all the time.
I just want to make sure, because this is unclear in here, there's nothing that you're seeking conditional use for or permits at all on the east side of Josephville Road, correct? Okay, good, thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the applicant? Yes, ma'am.
It's my understanding that the current location is property that you've leased, and the reason that you're moving is because you've purchased this property that you're seeking to have the conditional use permit. Am I correct in
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Yeah. So, and you're just tired of leasing and you want to be a
I've paid for it
landowner.
3 times now. I'd like to stop paying for it, to be real honest. And just with Bruce and I got lucky. Bruce is back here. He's up next, that this came for sale. And so it was an opportunity for us, to be totally honest. So
Think
I
I
just
read
want to
that.
build my
Thank
own
you.
place.
Gotcha.
There you go.
He's the second generation in his family that run concrete plants in this county.
Ah.
And his dad ran one for many years. It was a fine plant with no problems either, so.
That's
I'm
why
sure-
I call him Mr. Cronin. Gotcha.
And when I stopped by to see him.
Respect your elders.
When I stopped in to see him, his mom was still in there working on the book, so I know his
Yeah.
mom will keep him on the straight and
yeah.
narrow, okay?
All right. So with that, we appreciate you coming. You can have a seat if we have a, oh, sorry, Mr. Ham.
Yeah, I also visited the site, and I really don't see a problem with it.
Very well. All right. With that, thanks very much.
All right, see you in a few minutes.
So we will once again open this up for public comment. Any individual supporting or opposing the application is invited to share their comments. Council staff will call you forward one at a time as you filled out the speaker's card. Upon the conclusion of any individual comments, please remain at the podium for follow-up questions. We encourage you to keep it to 3 minutes. Should another speaker share the same information, feel free to say ditto. With that, we will open it up to our first speaker.
Arnie Dienoff?
you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. My name is Arnie C.A.C. Dinoff, County Public Advocate. Just want to make it a matter of public record that Mr. Brazel exited the chambers, so he's not going to hear my public comments, which I think is unfortunate. But in terms of conditional use permit for 2111, this is a perfect spot. It's already industrial zoned, as we all know. It goes wonderfully with our 2030 County Comprehensive and Land Use Master Plan. However, I'd like to make sure that we ensure that the public and the community are adequately protected. I would like the placement of the following conditions on this conditional use permit. I'm sure that they will be monitored by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, but the environment of a construction or a concrete ready mix facility is of concern. Concerns about daily cleanup, removal of debris and any possible chemicals or hazardous runoff. Waste disposal is a major concern for this type of facility and this type of industry. Water runoff, I want to make sure that they're meeting in full compliance with our newly formed ordinance that was passed by this council in terms of water retention, filtration, and slow discharge from the property. That adequate landscaping to screen this property from the general public going on Highway A or Josephville Road. The tree calculation, it's kind of up in the air if our tree code is being followed, and if it is not, I would ask that county staff ensure that they plant the amount of trees to meet the minimum requirement of our tree calculation ordinance. And finally, fencing. I think that fencing in this issue is very important. It's a buffer, and it screens unsightly equipment from the general public. For those following reasons, I would ask unanimous consent or vote of the county council in the next two readings. And I would put my full support for this application and this project. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, do we have a next speaker?
It's the final speaker.
So with that, any discussion among the council? Seeing none, that will conclude the public comments portion of this conditional use permit. As before, we'll vote on this one on the 30th. So with that, moving forward, we will move on to conditional use permit number 4987.
Bill number 4987, requested by Michael Hurlbert, sponsored by Joe Cronin, an ordinance granting conditional use permit CUP 21-12 for a storage lot for automobiles, boats, trucks, and recreational vehicles to Birdie Incorporated property owners and Wilkie Properties LLC applicant.
You've already been sworn in, so
Yes. My name is Robert Myers. I'm the Planning Zoning Division Director. What I would add to this is, well, first of all, the facts in terms of the location are the same as my last testimony. In terms of the zoning, locational factors, again, that's the same, because we're talking about the property adjoining to the south of the property we just spoke about, on the west side of Josephville Road. The subject property is 3 acres, and it would include both an office up front, but that's actually allowed by right, so they don't need any conditional use permit approval. I mention that because that 3,600 square foot planned office up front is really going to help screen the view from Josephville Road. Behind that, they are proposing outdoor storage and also semi-enclosed storage for vehicles. When I say semi-enclosed, what I'm talking about is a 12,000 square foot long, low structure along the property line that will be open-faced and facing inwards toward the property, plus room for an additional 45 vehicles stored outdoors. At the July Planning Zoning Commission, we had 2 speakers in favor and none against, and we had no letters on file for this application. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval with specific conditions to address land use impacts, and Planning and Zoning staff likewise recommends approval.
any questions or comments for Robert on this? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Is this the same applicant coming back up?
Well, it's Beth Lum and Bruce Kinder, who's with Wilkie Properties, Inc. So,
Bruce, do you
Yes
want to come
and
up
no.
and join Beth? Beth's already sworn in, so Bruce, you get the solo version this time.
Do you solemnly swear that you will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Welcome back, Beth.
Thank you. And hopefully without repeating ourselves too much, this is for a conditional use permit for outdoor storage of boats, trucks, recreational vehicles. This site is Part 2, or Lot 2B of the subdivision that we had just discussed earlier. Again, the property is just west of Josephville Road, so if we move that line just a hair, that would be where it is. Again, the property is surrounded mostly by industrial or commercial type uses such as the GM plant. There's a trailer distribution center, recycling center, Camping World. Again, we've got the existing ready mix operation just to the north. Immediately between the existing ready mix operation and the relocated ready mix operation, I believe there is a facility with outdoor storage for the similar type vehicles, which was granted about a year ago. So again, this use is compatible with the properties around it. It will not increase traffic. It won't injure any of the property values in the area, won't endanger health, safety, or welfare of the population. Currently, the property, again, is zoned light industrial, and it's near Wentzville, again, surrounded by similar uses. The requested conditional use permit was recommended to be approved by county staff with the conditions listed above, including that the trees shown on the site plan will be maintained in a healthy condition. There won't be any hazardous materials stored on the property, and vehicles must be maintained in an operable condition. And none of these are objectionable to our client. The proposed concept plan, you can see it's just south of the to-be-moved ready-mix operation. There will be an office building up front with the low storage just on the north towards the back of the property. It's a little hard to see, but again, the site plan shows some significant trees up near the front, so it's to screen the property from the road and to comply with whatever the county is going to recommend. The proposed buildings, again, will be of kind of a fabricated metal. The larger storage building near the rear of the property will be kind of a three-sided, so that the vehicles can easily get in and out, but be sheltered from the elements. The proposed office building will be somewhat consistent with the office building for the ready-mix plant right next door, with more of a barn type feel. And if we have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Is there anything you'd like to add?
I've been actually renting the property out there, excuse me, that's right there next to it, the building. So I've been out there for over a year. It's a really good fit for us. It works well. The neighbors don't complain, so that's why we decided to build the property, so.
Very well. Any questions for the applicant, Mr. Cronin?
Just a statement, just south of where I think his proposal is, there's pretty much of a derelict junkyard there, okay? So what he's proposing to build is way better looking than what's just, I think that's just a little bit south of you, that place.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
so let's hope maybe down the road you can get that one too and clean that mess up, because it's pretty messy. But what he's building is an improvement to the one down the road, just for major improvement, okay? So, anyway.
Very well. Any other comments for this applicant? All right, thank you for
All right,
coming.
thank you.
If you have any questions, we'll call you back. Stop me if you've heard this one before. We're now going to open it up for public comment. Any individual supporting or opposing the application is now invited to share their comments with the council. Council staff will call you forward one at a time if you filled out the speaker's card. Upon the conclusion of the individual comments, please remain at the podium for any follow-up questions from council staff or the applicant may have of you. With that, we'll just move on to Mr. Dienoff's card. Am I getting ahead of myself?
No, you're correct.
There you
Arnie
go.
Dienoff.
Mr. Dienoff, welcome.
I'm already sworn, correct? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate. First of all, I am not opposed to this application. I think it's a good fit. It fits with our 2030 County Comprehensive and Land Use Plan and Policy. However, I'd like to improve this. Some of the issues were brought out by the applicant's attorney. I had testified before the Planning and Zoning Commission in writing in July And I'd like the following conditions just to make sure and protect anybody in case there are complaints, to make code enforcement and our county counselor's office jobs easier. So the following conditions, which is in the purview according to state law and our county charter, for any CUPs, you're allowed by law and by county charter to add these reasonable conditions. The first one is no derelict or unlicensed vehicles anywhere on the property. The no outdoor repairs of vehicles, trucks, boats, or RVs are allowed to take place. No storage of parts, hazardous waste, chemicals, or fireworks. No body work to be performed on the property. No outdoor painting of the vehicles or boats. No sales of autos, trucks, trailers, RVs, boats, or other sales. No rental of trailers, RVs, or other. No living within any storage unit. No living within the motorhome, RV, or a tent. And that the county have a type 3 landscape berm with fence and appropriate trees to screen the public from any unsightly vehicles or storage. And that finally, landscaping be amended to improve the neighborhood and adjoining property values. For those reasons, I ask that the council unanimously in the next 2 readings approve this application with the following conditions. I'd like to see it added to our comprehensive plan and our county codified ordinances, because I think it's only befitting of us to ask for some type of minimum standards on these storage lots and storage facilities, and have some type of controls and some type of conditions to improve our county and improve the look of our county rather than a free-for-all. We have some good people in the county that have storage lots that follow the rules and regulations, and then we have some that are derelict, and there's many code enforcement complaints, and for some reason they just don't get handled and they get ignored. So I would ask that we make this as all conditions in future storage facilities. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, I'm assuming there's no other speakers.
No other speakers.
Any discussion from staff? Seeing none, that'll conclude the public comment portion of this conditional use permit. We will see you folks back on the 30th for a final vote on all 3 conditional use permits. With that, we will move on to public comments. You have 3 minutes to express your opinion to the council. We generally take 3 comments for, 3 comments against on any particular issue. If someone says the same thing that you said, you're always welcome to say ditto, and your comments will be expressed. With that, we start with our first speaker.
Robert Guinness.
Hello, Robert.
My name is Robert Guinness, and I'm an attorney here in St. Charles. I'm here to speak in opposition to Bill 4989 for the rezoning of 1371 Silvers Road to light industrial. I represent Silvers Road LLC, and it owns a house immediately adjacent to this property. And Silvers Road LLC is owned by August Bush III, and he strongly opposes this rezoning. But more importantly, most of the surrounding neighbors also are opposed to this, and I have some of them who are here with me tonight. The bill and the rezoning information is in your packet at pages 778 through 806, and there you will find an additional 10 letters of opposition to the rezoning. The neighboring properties are mostly concerned about the development of this property and its effect on the flooding, particularly on Silvers Road. Whenever there's a heavy rain or flooding event, Silvers Road becomes inundated and it closes, and for many of the people, it's their only access to their properties. There are several other concerns as well. There are no utilities on the property to serve an industrial use. The property is on Salt River Road. And I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but it has a very long, tight, curved radius on that property at 40 miles an hour. So there's very limited opportunity to have any commercial access to that property in any event. There's a high-tension power line that goes through the western part of the property. And in addition, the current owner has no specific plans for this property. So at a minimum, this application really is premature. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend that you deny the rezoning. And so when the bill does come up for vote in August 30th, yes, we will ask that you vote in opposition to the bill and thereby deny the rezoning. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next speaker,
Joseph Pranger.
Joseph? Yes, sir.
Darren Tharp.
Mr. Chairman and Council, I want to thank you for the opportunity that we have as residents of St. Charles to come and voice our opinions on a variety of issues. Tonight, I would like to just present something for your consideration.
Yes, sir.
I have lived in St. Charles, in unincorporated St. Charles County, in Woodcliff Estates off of Jung Station Road for 45-plus years now, and actually live in the home that I grew up in. My wife and I are RV camper owners, and we have owned a variety of campers over the years. And during that time, invariably, there is potentially one individual in the subdivision that likes to make sure and contact the code enforcement group if campers are sitting in driveways for too long of a period. And I understand that the camper ordinance is in place with a 24-hour stance for people to load, unload, etc., their campers. Obviously, it needs to be parked in the driveway for that period of time. There's also code enforcement parking it along the side of the home or behind the home, a certain distance from property lines. And while I don't disagree with those specific ordinances, as you know, with the onslaught of COVID, RVs and campers have gone into high demand. People are using these continuously as a recreational vehicle. And in our particular case, as you can see from this photograph, we recently purchased a new camper that was small enough for us to pull with our Jeep. The Jeep is about 15.5 feet long, 16 feet long. The camper is only 18 feet long from tip to end. So basically, what I'm here to talk about is just the situation is that we currently have a triple wide driveway. As you can see from that camper, it is extremely well maintained. As a matter of fact, that camper cost more than the Jeep that's pulling it. And the reason I point that out is that the majority of the RVs, which I'm guessing approximately 10 to 12 RVs/campers are within our Woodcliff Estates subdivision, they are all, every one that I have seen, extremely well maintained and in good working condition. So the proposal I'd like to lay before you is the potential of establishing a time period during the summer months from May 1st through December 1st for people that have recreational vehicles that are in well-maintained condition to be able to maintain those vehicles in their driveways for quick and easy access. My wife and I will occasionally just go, hey, you want to go camping for the weekend? And we will jump in the Jeep, we'll connect the camper, and we'll take off. So and I know this may seem like a selfish request, and I understand safety concerns, and I understand concerns for the look and feel of our neighborhood. And I can tell you, being in an unincorporated community that doesn't have a homeowners association, all of the homes are generally well maintained, and any time that something does come up, it is talked to or addressed very quickly. Over those years, we've owned probably 5 campers, and invariably, we end up getting a code enforcement notice saying that we need to move our camper if we kept it there for even one day too long. And
3 minutes is up.
okay,
Okay.
all right.
So let
Thank
me
you. Yes.
suggest to you, it sounds like Mr. White is your councilman, is that
Okay.
right?
I believe so.
So,
Yeah, I picked the right night.
sorry, man, it happened.
No, I understand.
I would suggest that you follow up
Okay.
with him.
Yes.
And he'll be able to talk through this a little bit more with you, but thanks
Great.
for bringing it to our
I
attention.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Have fun camping.
Yes.
Next speaker.
Arnie Dienoff.
Do we have any other speakers after this, or is this our
That's our
final speaker?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, County Public Advocate. First 2 agenda items I'd like to address are Bill number 4984, and that's the agreement with St. Charles City for temporary kenneling. I would ask the administration and the county executive to continue discussions for county consolidation. Every municipality is down animal control officers. O'Fallon had 4, they're down to 1. So we really need to consolidate, and our county staff really needs 7 to 8 animal control officers, and they're down to 4. The next item is Bill number 4989, and that's the rezoning along Silver Road. I also am opposed to that and testified before the Planning and Zoning Commission. It floods every other year, and it caused severe flooding and severe headache in that neighborhood. It makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever why we're even entertaining this and why staff recommended approval to the Planning and Zoning Commission. We keep on pushing our flood issues elsewhere and downstream, and it's just unfair to other residents in other parts of our county. Over the past 4 meetings of the County Council, I've been emailing my public testimony for the record. I received no response except for Dave Hammond, and I appreciate that, Mr. Hammond, of Western O'Fallon. So I'm not sure why we don't communicate with citizens and why everything's hush-hush and top secret. I've made up my mind that our county deserves a county executive that works for the people and does not keep secrets, play political games involving citizen lives. I will be filing for county executive most likely in February, and I think it's important that we stop the non-communication style of our county executive's office. What kind of county are we turning into? One elected official getting wealthy and lifetime pensions over our 433 county residents? Why is a little girl in the city of St. Paul who was severely mauled and bitten viciously by a dog bite not being enforced by a public hearing that was held on May 18th right here in this room by our former public health director, who found some very damaging findings, which I have here, a report from Demetrius Cincy Chapman, and they're not being enforced. So I wrote an email on July 15th to the county executive staff, and of course they pushed it on to Mr. O'Sullivan, and he pushed it on to Brian Wise, and they came up with, we don't know what you're talking about, we don't have any information, or we can't answer your questions. Why this little girl is going to have lifetime scarring and lifetime physical ailments, and the family has to move because this administration refuses to enforce and allow Katie Willis.
Thank
and
you,
the
Mr.
public
Danoff.
planning
Your time
director.
has expired. That wraps up our public comments for this evening. I know. And we are moving on to oral report from our county executive.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you, sir. So that takes us up to our consent agenda. Any items to be removed from our consent agenda tonight?
I'd like to remove the Parks and Recreation.
The Parks and Recreation. Anything else? I'm sorry, do I have a second? My bad. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any other items to be removed, or do I hear a motion?
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept the
Second.
amended agenda, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? So the consent agenda is approved, except for Parks and Recreation. Mr. Cronin, floor is yours.
I just wanted to see if Ryan was asleep back there or he was awake, okay? But no, I wanted to compliment him on this. This little piece of ground, myself and Jerry Daugherty got to know some Lincoln County commissioners, and we got this ground for little and nothing, basically, because it was ground that Lincoln County had bought when they built a new bridge. And it had a lot of potential. And Ryan tried to put a boat ramp in a few years ago, and the flood took it and stuff. And I saw this design and stuff. I thought, well, you know what? I don't know that much about kayaking, but there's a member of the Parks Board. It's a friend of mine who's an attorney in O'Fallon, and he is an avid kayaker. So myself and Ryan and Mr. Bob Wohler, okay, if folks who know Bob, went out and looked at the property. And Ryan did a great job of designing this, laying this out. It's also accessible for folks with disabilities. They can fish on it. They've got easy way to get kayaks in the water. And lots of bids came in on it, okay, with a lot of local companies. It's going to local companies. So because I pick on Ryan's expenses sometimes, I thought, well, I'll pull this one off, give him a little excitement for tonight, and just tell them they did a really good job on this one, okay?
Very well.
And with that, I'll take a motion to approve this, okay?
So a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It carries. So it's a great Parks and Rec night. We start with you, and we just keep the theme rolling, right? So, attaboy, you're doing well. That'll move us on to bills for final passage. Bill number 4982.
Bill number 4982, an ordinance establishing new traffic regulations and establishing penalties for violations thereof.
Any questions or comments about this bill? Seeing none, please call the roll.
An ordinance establishing new traffic regulations and establishing penalties for violations thereof. Councilmember Brazel?
Yes.
Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Councilmember Cronin.
Yes.
Bill number 4982 passes. That takes us to Bill number 4983.
Bill number 4983, an ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles for work required on Country Club Road between Veterans Memorial Parkway and Treetop Drive to mill full width and place a 2-inch asphalt overlay.
Any questions or comments about this bill? Seeing none, please call the roll.
An ordinance authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles for work required on Country Club Road between Veterans Memorial Parkway and Treetop Drive to mill full width and place a 2-inch asphalt overlay. Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel?
Bill number 4983 passes. That brings us to our final bill for final passage, Bill number 4984.
Bill number 4984, an ordinance approving execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles to provide temporary kenneling services.
Any questions or comments about this bill? Seeing none, please call the roll.
An ordinance approving execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of St. Charles to provide temporary kenneling services. Councilmember Elam?
Yes.
Councilmember Hollander?
Yes.
Councilmember Schneider?
Yes.
Councilmember White? Councilmember Cronin?
Yes.
Councilmember Brazel? Councilmember Hammond?
Yes.
Bill number 4984 passes. That wraps up bills for final passage. On to bills for introduction, starting with Bill number 4988.
Bill number 4988, requested by Michael Hurlbert, sponsored by Joe Cronin, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to C2 General Commercial District per application RZ 21-08.
Any questions or comments about this bill?
Staff doesn't like this. Planning and zoning didn't like this. Some of the neighbors didn't like it. City of Wentzville definitely didn't like it. So, Mr. Pringer, you got some work to do in the next few weeks, okay? I just want to be 100% honest with you. I know the area and I'm familiar with it, but there's a lot of hurdles. So I would ask you to read through staff recommendations and the letter that's from the City of Wentzville that are on the site and see if there's anything you can do to address the staff's or the City of Wentzville's concerns, please. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments about this bill? Seeing none, we will move on to Bill number 4989.
Bill number 4989, requested by Michael Herbert, sponsored by Nancy Schneider, an ordinance amending the zoning district map of the County of St. Charles, Missouri by rezoning land from A Agricultural District with Floodway Fringe Overlay District to I-1 Light Industrial District with Floodway Fringe Overlay District per application RZ 21-11.
Any questions or comments about this bill?
I would just state it is in my district. However, I've looked into it, and I'm just stating right now that unless something drastic changes, I'm going to vote no on this.
Any other questions, Mr. Cronin?
I grew up in that area and spent a lot of time playing hockey as a kid on the mud, what do they call, salt pits, or what do they call those down there by your, anyway, bar pits, that's what they call them. But anyway, I know the area real well, grew up there. I don't like rezoning stuff without seeing what someone's gonna do with it. They're asking for industrials, they're asking us to take agricultural land, turn it to industrial zoning, they're not giving us a clue what the heck they're gonna do. That's number one thing I don't like about it. Number two is, these folks have family farms, have been in their families for a lot of years all around it. They're not wild about seeing industrial pop up next to their place. And it does flood. Silver's Road, I've driven through Silver's Road with a lot of water on it. So, I mean, this thing's got a lot of stuff going that's against it in my book. And, you know, the applicant, you know, if it was an industrial zoning that was somehow compatible with all the residents in the neighborhood in that area, that they said, well, this is going to be okay or whatever, that might be one thing. But just to take it from agricultural to industrial zoning without knowing what's going on, that's no good, and I'll vote no against it unless I get more information on it.
Any other questions or comments about this bill? Seeing none, that wraps up Bill number 4989 and bills for introduction. Just a reminder, we have 3 weeks before our next meeting, so instead of being here on the 23rd, we will be here on August 30th, and that's when we will vote on both of those. So you get an extra week to do the work. Announcements and miscellaneous. Anything for the good of the order that anyone would like to talk about, promote? Well, my daughter turned 19 yesterday. We went to the Cardinal game, and we're taking her to college this week. So for my council members who remember the little girl who used to come in here in the beginning and sit there with the agenda and go through it, with Chief Todd and make fun of us as they went through that. She's now college age, so if you didn't feel old before, there's one more thing to make you feel a little bit older. So there you go, just like you needed that. Happy birthday, Megan. With Mr. Cronin.
I just want to give a shout out to county park staff. I spent the better part of the day at the old youth activity park, now Kinetic Park, with my wife and my grandson, and got to watch some of the races. And so many nice booths there, hospitals giving away stuff, a lot of stuff for kids. I mean, we had a really nice time. One thing I would say about park staff, not only were they very professional, but they were also very friendly, and that meant a lot. I saw they were, you go up and talk to them, how you doing today? They didn't know who I was from Adam, but I mean, they really did a good job. So it was staffed well, it was run well. It was a wonderful event for the first time. So I hope it'll be an annual event every year, and I think it is really something special. I know some of you guys were there, I spent the day there with my family. It was a good time. Okay, there you go.
I agree completely. County Executive made a few remarks before the race started. I know Darden Prairie's mayor was there. He's kind of claiming that park, even though it's a county park. I don't blame him. I'd do the exact same thing. It's really a great park. You guys have done a fantastic job with it. And I would add, not only is the county park staff really great, but they may have the best volunteers of any organization that I've seen, because not only do they give a lot of time, they're extremely passionate about it. I thought I was going to have to write a check to the Parks Foundation before I left, because she wasn't going to let me leave the booth until I made a donation there. So I was like, I'm working with you. Mr. Executive, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to also thank the Park Department for a great job at the Boone Home. When the governor came out, Councilman Brazel was there, and just a whole lot of folks. They didn't have a third as many people down at the First State Capitol when they came there and went there next. So thanks for putting that together. Did a super job of getting a crowd there. And I think the governor was really impressed. And I know Joe was happy to be there. And Joe, are you going to tell them about what we did the next day, or should I?
What we did? What?
The Tom Shaw thing?
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and then the next day, Joe and I both were over in Chesterfield, and there was an event honoring Tom Shaw Sr., and of course many of you know Jr.
Yep.
And it was sort of in his honor. They raised some money for a good cause, but it was to encourage cooperation between West St. Louis County and our county, and I talked a little bit about history, surprise, and Joe talked a little bit about opportunities for us to work together in the future. So I thought that was a great event, Joe. Thanks.
The funny thing was, I did mention the abomination, the mayor of Chesterfield was there, and the mayor of Wildwood, and I did say we are still in negotiations to annex these two towns. Everyone thought that was funny.
Mayor Nations has been talking about how he wants to join St. Charles County, I think, since he got elected. Like, he was all excited about that. I would invite everybody, not this Friday, but next Friday. The governor is coming into town, along with Congressman Luke DeMeyer, the county executive, and Mayor Pagano from St. Peter's for the ribbon cutting at I3 Broadband. So you can come enjoy that and celebrate, and Ben, the governor's here for that. So with that, I would ask for motion to dismiss.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.